Yo, what's up everybody? It's time to Nefus and chill. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the latest Quakecon ESO PvE competition being drummed up. For those of you who don't remember, the first time an ESO PvE competition happened was back in 2021, with me leading Team NA against Olibo's Team EU. And before you make fun of me for that, Gina has already basically ratioed me on Twitter. When I commented on the event, she was like, you could try not losing this year. So that's quite the challenge. And of course, Asian God saying here, I'll come out of retirement. There's been a lot of memes already around this event, and I'll kind of go over it. But it's pretty interesting they're announcing this. And last year wasn't a competition in 2022. It was more so of a challenge thing. But this year, Zos has invited actually 8 puppies, who many of you may know, a friend and fellow endgamer from ESO Console, to be the caster for this year's competition, alongside Encounter lead designer Mike Finnegan at Quakecon in Dallas. So what is this year's Quakecon competition? Surprisingly, it's pretty sweaty, actually. They're looking for teams to compete for the highest score in Sanity's Edge during the Quakecon livestream. And that's pretty cool, honestly. Getting what's left of PvE endgame, involved in this big event. So let's see what the rules have to say. Here it is. And this is actually also a submission form. I'll leave the link down in the description below for anyone who wants to also apply. So it's going to be 2 teams. Do you have what it takes to complete Sanity's Edge with the highest score? We're looking for teams to compete for a score push in our latest trial during this year's QuakeCon livestream on Thursday, August 10th, for a chance at winning some awesome prizes. And apparently, according to Puppies, when we asked them about it, the prices are really juicy. We don't know what the prices are, but if you're saying they're juicy, they're juicy. If you're interested in putting together a team for consideration, please fill out the form below. A few details to keep in mind. All right, so these are the rules, or kind of like terms. As the person signing up, you will be the main point person, basically not the Rayleigh, but the roster organizer for all communication and coordination, and will be responsible for pulling together a team of 11 other players to participate. Oh boy, all right. All players will be, I think that's the hardest part, honestly. So all 12 people have to be available at the same time, same day. That's a lot harder than most people think it is. Man, that's a big reason why most raid leads burn out, because of roster proc. But it's just for one day, so I'm sure most people can hopefully do it. And of course, there's time zones to keep in mind. There's great players from Asia. There's great players from South America. Everything's got to coincide somehow too. But I feel like some people will definitely have to miss out on sleep if they do end up participating, which I think is not a big deal. It's like a once in a lifetime thing. All players will be vetted ahead of time for any previous terms of service violations. So this is where things get a little, so this is why I had a lot of emotions and thoughts over when I tweeted about this. I was like, okay, all players will be vetted ahead of time for any previous TOS violations. So I talked about this on stream a bit, but for the 2021 QuakeCon competition, I had a friend we were gonna roster, and apparently his account had these forum strikes on it, and he couldn't, they wouldn't let him participate. So I'm thinking to myself, when I think about that, and also apparently Olibo said the same thing. Some of his friends have forum strikes or suspensions or whatever, and they haven't been able to participate in the past 2 QuakeCons. So when I think about this, I'm just like, okay, so it's a sweaty thing of for endgame players, obviously, because if you're going for the highest score, you're gonna do hard mode. There's no way you're gonna participate in this, right, seriously, and want to compete and win the prizes, right, and not do hard mode, because the other team's going to do hard mode or attempt hard mode, right? You want the highest score possible, so no one's not going to do hard mode. So that means endgame players have to be it, right? It's not time based, right? It's score based, so you have to do hard mode. And I feel like half of endgame has strikes. I was thinking to myself, I wonder like who would be allowed in or who would be able to participate at a certain point. I hope that they like maybe a bit more lax about this one this time around, as long as they didn't do something really serious like death threats, doxing, stalking, all the really serious stuff. On a side note, so yeah, I mean, if it's like like getting 3-day suspension for names, and they can't do that because of that, that would be, I don't know, that'd be kind of feels bad. But if they were banned in the past for really serious stuff, yeah, absolutely, they should be vetted and restricted. So, and then of course, no webcams are required. Now, obviously, this is for people who are going to be streaming, and there's this whole thing with tech rehearsals. So in 2021 and 2022, we had to do tech rehearsals to make sure the software and the broadcasting was working, because they use different tech when they're live streaming different POVs. Open to any platform, but 2 players will be needed for sharing gameplay during the stream. If you are on console, you will need a capture card to share your gameplay. Players responsible for sharing gameplay will need a minimum upload speed of 20 megabytes per second, and will be required to download software from our IT department prior to a mandatory tech check on Wednesday, August 9th. Everyone participating will need to agree to legal rules prior to a live stream. So, one key thing here, they said console, if you're on console. And I think to myself, okay, so what's the logistics of this? Because, like, I'm not, like, trying to be mean or anything, but if it's, if a PC player or representative that will lead a PC team into the competition is picked, will they then pick a console representative from a console team? Granted, there is definitely a couple endgame console score pushing teams that might be able to actually compete. And then there's a whole question of like, it really depends on the rosters, like because of the whole toss violation thing. I feel like both rosters at a certain point, depending on how stringent they may be in regards to this one clause, will probably be like Frankenstein rosters, cobbled together of people who are, who have consistently cleared hard mode, Sanity's Edge, or are score pushers, or world record holders, or console record holders, but also don't have strikes, which is very, like a very small chance of that too, right? So, I don't know, and I think it would be pretty funny. Like, maybe I'm like a jerk, but like I think it'd be pretty funny. Like, this is like the scenario I have in my head about this. What if it was a PC team versus console team, right? I actually would I kind of want to see that happen, because I just want to see if the PC team will lose. I kind of want the PC team to lose or like draw, so that people will finally stop shutting up about add-ons. So I'm just like thinking about all these scenarios in my head. I'm like, oh man, how's this going to work out? Like, logistically speaking and, balance-wise, I feel like it would have to be console versus console or PC versus PC as far as the in-game teams are concerned. If not, if it's PC versus console, I mean, I think that's even more entertaining in some ways. I don't know if they're going to go for an NA versus EU kind of theme here. Probably not. They just probably want to see some sweaty stuff happen. But yeah. So yeah, you guys can actually submit if you want to take your team or guild into this. You can put in your user ID, what platform you're on, your email address, and of course, the trial team name or guild name that you normally raid with. And I'm sure they asked for that because there's probably going to be people, doing duplicate submissions from the same team, or there might be, teams or guilds out there that have also gotten bad press or like violations of the toss. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I want to talk about for Quakecon. And I signed up. I think the likelihood of me entering this competition is pretty low, but I am pretty excited to watch this. But yeah. Thanks for watching, and thanks for humoring me. See you guys soon.